Four countries are about to walk onto the biggest stage in sports for the very first time in their history. One of them is smaller than a single American town. One of them spent 40 years losing before this moment. One of them you literally cannot reach by sea. And one of them was told for decades that their best players belonged to somebody else. This summer, all four of them are going to the World Cup. These are the four teams nobody expected, and these are their stories. Let's start with the most impossible story of them all. Find Curaçao on a map, and you might miss it. A tiny Caribbean island, 40 miles off the coast of Venezuela, just 444 square kilometers of land. Around 156,000 people live there, fewer than fit inside some of the stadiums they're about to play in. To put it in perspective, Curaçao is about 7 times smaller than Rhode Island. And this summer, they are the smallest nation, by both population and land area, ever to qualify for a World Cup. Ever. For generations, this was a place that produced football talent and then watched it leave. Their best players grew up and went off to represent the Netherlands, because Curaçao was never going anywhere. No World Cup, no expectation, a footballing afterthought. Then something shifted. The island leaned into its Dutch connections, brought in experienced leadership, and built a squad of players who chose Curaçao, who wanted to make history rather than chase it elsewhere, and they didn't squeak through. They went through their entire final qualifying campaign unbeaten. An island of 156,000 people, undefeated on the road to the World Cup. Their reward? A debut against Germany, 4-time world champions. A nation of 83 million. The smallest country ever to make a World Cup, opening against one of the biggest powers the sport has ever produced. And that, right there, is exactly why we love this game. But Curaçao isn't the only island nation making history this summer. Cross the Atlantic and you'll find another. Cape Verde, 10 volcanic islands off the west coast of Africa, with a population of around 525,000. That makes them the third smallest nation ever to reach a World Cup, behind only Curaçao and Iceland. Their story is one of patience. Cape Verde only became a FIFA member in 1986. They failed to qualify for 6 straight World Cups. They were never supposed to be here. But this time, the team they call the Blue Sharks did something remarkable. They finished ahead of Cameroon, an African giant and a 5-time World Cup nation, sealing their place with a 3-0 win over Eswatini. Leading them is Ryan Mendes, 36 years old, the captain, his country's all-time leading scorer, finally reaching the one stage that always stayed out of reach. For a nation of 500,000 people scattered across 10 islands, this is more than football. It's the whole country arriving at once. From the islands of the Atlantic, we go somewhere with no coastline at all, somewhere you can't reach by sea even if you tried. Uzbekistan is one of only 2 countries on Earth that are double landlocked, surrounded entirely by other landlocked countries. To reach an ocean from Uzbekistan, you'd have to cross at least 2 international borders. The only other nation like it is Liechtenstein. And this summer, Uzbekistan is doing something no Central Asian country has ever done, playing at a World Cup. For over 30 years, since gaining independence in 1992, they came close again and fell short every time. They had to rebuild their football program almost from scratch. Now, they've got real quality, a Manchester City defender in Abdulkadir Kusanov, and a captain, Eldor Shomurodov, who's their greatest goal scorer ever. They qualified by finishing second in their group, just behind Iran. This isn't just a milestone for one country, it's an entire region, millions of people across Central Asia, finally getting to see themselves on football's biggest stage for the first time. hat-trick and a 3-0 win. But it still wasn't in their hands. Jordan had to wait for another result, a game in Basra, and when South Korea beat Iraq, it was done. After 40 years, Jordan were going to the World Cup. The streets of Amman filled with people. A drone light show lit up the capital. Their king had watched the match from London wearing the national team jersey. An entire kingdom, dreaming the same dream for 40 years, woke up to find it had finally come true. 4 nations, 4 impossible roads, the smallest country in history. An island that watched its talent leave for generations. A nation you can't reach by sea. And a kingdom that waited 40 years. None of them are favourites. Most of them won't make it out of the group stage, but that was never really the point. The World Cup isn't only about who lifts the trophy, it's about the moment a country that was never supposed to be there walks onto the pitch anyway. So when you're watching this summer and the Giants are doing what Giants do, keep one eye on the underdogs, because their stories are the ones you'll remember. Which of these 4 do you think can shock the world? Tell me in the comments. And if you want every underdog story of this tournament, you know what to do. This has been the 104 Report.